I worked in customer service for so long. It's the main reason I don't believe that all lives matter. You know. You do it for a few months and then you're like, nah, everyone. And I used to work at this place not too long ago, sent me an email, and they were like, hey man, if you continue to bring the company's name up on stage, we will sue you. So, you know, legally I can't name them, but they do sell iPhones. So it could be anyone, you know. Every time I pass by there, I'm like, blessed be the fruit, you know? And one thing that used to happen to me a lot when I did customer service is the customers, they would hear my accent and they would try to guess where I'm from, which, you know, like a fun game for both of us. And I remember I had this one guy who approached me and he was like, hey man, I have a question to ask you. I know it's gonna be like a white dude thing to ask. And I was like, no, I'm aware. My eyes gave me the heads up. And then he was like, are you Persian? And I was like, no, I'm not, you know, because I'm not. And then he replied with so much confidence and was like, are you sure though? I was like, honestly, it seems like you know what you're talking about. Like, I think maybe I am. Like, I had a long day. I think I forgot, you know. What do I know? The customer is always right, you know? And then he said, no, I'm just asking because my dad is Persian. And I was like, oh, okay. Do you think I'm your dad? Like, I'm not. Like, I would have known if I had a kid who was older than me, you know? Now, I travel a lot for comedy, and recently I was in Portland, Oregon. If you've been there, then you know everyone there is super annoying. It's the culture, and I respect it. And I called this car to come pick me up, and this Uber driver shows up in a Tesla. And I was like, hell yeah, you know, a fellow intellectual. And then he saw that I had a carry-on and a suitcase with me, and he was like, are those yours? And I was like, yeah, I'm holding them. And I was like, I don't have space here. Where am I supposed to put this? And I was like, I was hoping in your car. Like, and he was like, nah, you should have let me know beforehand that you would have luggage with you. And I was like, my bad, I should have let you know that I would have luggage with me. I just thought you could tell from context clues. You know, like the fact that you're picking me up from the airport, you know? Mainly luggage here, honestly. And then I got into his car, and then 2 minutes into the ride, he looks at his phone and he was like, hey man, how do you say your name so I know how to address you? And I was like, oh, no need to address me. I was like, whatever you think it is, just keep it here. I'm sure it's correct. But he kept insisting. So I said, it's Mohanad. And he was like, what? And I was like, Mohanad. And he was like, that's interesting. And I was like, keep going. I want to hear the rest of this. And he was like, no, just because here in the States it's pronounced Muhammad. And I was like, oh, that's a good point. You know, not how names work, but I appreciate the perspective. You know, I love to learn. And then halfway through the ride, he just looks at his phone and, you know, again, and then he was like, hey man, I have a question for you. Can I ask it? And I was like, I don't think I have a choice. Go on. But just in case, to save you time, not Persian. And then he said, no, I just wanted to ask, are you into crypto and NFTs? And I was like, honestly, I would have rather if you've said something racist. Like, why? Why would you say that to me? Like, is that the vibe I'm giving off? I'll kill myself, you know? Not the worst car ride I've ever had, you know. like 10 years ago or so, I was driving my car back home, and I'm originally from Libya, a country. And yeah, sure, thank you so much. We have geography heads here, amazing. And I remember I got stopped at a checkpoint, and back then most of these checkpoints in Libya were controlled by these like religious extremist militias. They were like everywhere. And when I say extremist militias, I mean groups like ISIS. I'm not sure if you guys remember them. They kind of fell off. Like they used to be pretty big on like YouTube, and I haven't posted in a while. And And I think about them sometimes, you know. I'm like, did they make it through the pandemic, you know? Which I'm sure they did. You know, those guys always wore masks, so... So I'm sure ISIS is doing fine, and... I was traveling recently, and you know sometimes when you go through the TSA, they see something in your bag that you don't recognize, so they have to take it out to look at it. And the thing that they saw in my carry-on was a notebook. You know, they were like, "We've never seen anything like this before." Like, and then the agent opened it, and he was looking inside, and I was like, "What are you doing?" And he was like, "I just want to see what's inside." And I was like, "Probably words, you know, like." I was like, are you not familiar with words? Like, should I define, like, words, like their speech that you hear with your eyes? Yeah. And then we had some back and forth, and then he eventually gave it back to me. And the only reason I didn't want to look inside is because I write my jokes there, and I don't write them fully. I just write one line to remind me what the joke is. And this was new at the time, the notebook, and all it had was, I'm sure ISIS is doing just fine. And I just don't know how to explain that to Homeland Security, you know? I can be like, no, you guys don't get it, it's funny. Recently, I decided to work more on my small talk, so I was like, there is no better place to do that than the next time I take a Lyft or an Uber. I'm gonna find a topic and just run with it, you know? So I get into this man's car a few months ago, and then like a few minutes in, he starts playing music. And every song he played was either something I recently listened to or something I really liked. So obviously, I had to let him know. So after each song, I would say, that's a great song, man. Just a fun guy in the back, you know, and sometimes I change it up. All I say is, look at that, he's doing it again. And you know, maybe I did that for 20 minutes. Who's counting? Him, probably. And I kept doing it, and he did not respond to me once the whole time. But you know, I'm a man on a mission. I was not gonna stop. But then the music stopped, and what started playing next was my stand-up comedy. And I was terrified, and I was like, I didn't even check if this was my car or not. I just walked out of the building and just walked into this car. And then from the back, I was like, hey man, do you know who this is? And he was like, what? And I was like, the guy doing stand-up on the speakers, do you know who that is? And he was like, no. And I was like, well, it's me. And then he replied, well, that's good for you. And I was like, bro, are you kidnapping me and gaslighting me? Like, I don't like that one bit. But then I really thought something bad was gonna happen, but then he drove me to the location I gave him, and I said out loud, this is the location I gave you. And he was like, that's how this usually works. Yeah. And then I said, hey man, who are you? And I was like, what? And I was like, are you fucking with me or something? And he was like, I don't know what you're talking about. I was like, oh, you're fucking with me, for sure. And he was like, I was like, are there cameras around? Is it gonna be like on YouTube or some shit? And he was like, I think you should just leave my car. And then I was like, okay, you know what? This will haunt me for the rest of my life, you know? I was so mad. And I opened the car door, I started leaving, I got my bag out, I pulled my phone out of the charger, which then realized, yeah, it turns out it was an aux cord, and just to explain, it's been my phone connected to the speakers this whole time. And now there's this dude in New York City who thinks I'm a psychopath. Because what happened was I got into this stranger's car, this man's car, and I played my own music. for 20 minutes. And then after each song that I played, I said, what a great song, man. Oh, look at that, he's doing it again. And then I played my own stand-up. And then I said, hey man, do you recognize the voice? It is your boy right here. It is me, indeed. Are there cameras around? This is gonna be on YouTube, as it should be. You know, I haven't